The boss introduces the new intern. He also motivates them with news about a new project. Fresh out of college, the young man is full of dreams and hopes, but just 1 week later, the reality of the job hits him hard. He's become a complete workhorse, constantly exhausted from overworking. Weighed down by reality and despair, he realizes that hard work doesn't always pay off, and that he can't escape poverty. The immense pressure crushes him completely as he wonders why the world hasn't just ended yet, releasing him from this misery. Exhausted, he leans back in his chair, staring blankly out the window at the cityscape under the dark night sky. He decides it's time to sleep, even though he'll just be exploited again tomorrow. He feels like a pack animal in this world. As he rests, he wishes for the world to be blown up by aliens. Suddenly, a strange sound catches his attention. A notification appears, telling him he has activated the Perfect Life system. He looks at it, completely bewildered. The interface shows his name and stats as a level 0 intern. It promises to help him experience the perfect life in all its glory. The young man stares at the screen, utterly shocked and confused by what is happening right in front of him. His confusion turns into a grin as he realizes what this is. He decides that he is completely done with working overtime. With a triumphant shout, he declares he's free from his boss at last, tossing his keyboard and glasses into the air. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts on the street below his office, involving a truck and a car in a fiery collision. He looks out the window in shock, realizing that the city's gas pipeline must have just exploded from the impact. The street is now a scene of utter chaos and destruction, with bodies and debris scattered all over the place. Then, the victims of the explosion begin to change, their eyes glowing red as they turn into ravenous, zombie-like creatures. The infected people start attacking others, turning the street into a gruesome scene of carnage and horror. He watches the terrifying scene unfold from his window, a single bead of sweat rolling down his face as he looks on. Pulling back from the window, he nervously asks the system to repeat its name, wondering what kind of perfect life this is. The system confirms its name is the Perfect Life System. He yells back, pointing out the apocalypse happening outside. At that moment, he notices a panicked figure through the glass door of his office. His expression shifts as he turns his head slightly, recognizing the woman who is trying to get inside the room. A woman is banging on the glass, trapped on the other side of a door that is now sealed with warning tape. She presses her hands against the door as he watches her from inside the office, looking on with concern. He remembers seeing her before in an elevator, recalling that she is the niece of the boss from the company next door. But now her face is bloody and twisted, her eyes glowing a menacing red as she transforms into one of the infected. The young man retracts his earlier thoughts with a nervous smile, realizing the situation is far more dangerous than it seems. The system then issues a new task. He must flirt with the woman to get a reward, which he finds completely ridiculous. He looks around the office for something to use, and finds a small packet of snacks inside an open drawer. He then spots a large water bottle from the office cooler, placing his hand on it as he forms a plan. He sits down, figuring that waiting is useless. He decides it's a good chance to test out how his new system works. Deciding to act, the young man walks over to the glass door and grabs the handle, preparing to open it. As soon as he opens the door, the infected woman lunges at him, attacking with a powerful high kick. Her kick misses, and she stumbles to the floor. Dazed but still looking extremely hostile, he leans over her and introduces himself, asking if they can be friends to complete the system's strange task. The intern nervously tells her that since she's not saying anything, he will take her silence as a yes. He then quickly retreats back inside the office and slams the door shut, leaving her on the floor outside. The infected woman remains on the floor, momentarily silent and still after he locks the door. Her calm is short-lived as she lets out a furious roar, her red eyes glowing with intense, unbridled rage. The infected woman bangs her head against the glass door. The glass begins to crack under the force of her repeated, furious assaults, showing the sheer power of her rage. The young man smiles, thinking to himself that his brief and clumsy introduction should be enough, but the system gives him a terrible rating, criticizing his poor attempt at flirting and calling him rude. He points a finger in frustration, surprised and annoyed to learn that his actions are being graded by the system. Despite the poor rating, he receives 1 attribute point and plus 10 favorability with the woman, whose name is Chi Wei. He questions the use of gaining favorability with a zombie, wondering if it might stop her from attacking him. The system explains that increased favorability will make her want to get close, eventually obeying him like a spouse. He reacts with sarcasm, thinking that a zombie wanting to get close just means it has another target to attack. The last part of the system's message confuses him, and he wonders if this means he can control zombies. He runs a hand through his hair, frustrated that this strange system doesn't even come with a tutorial. Deciding to act, he adjusts his glasses and calmly instructs the system to add his allocable point to strength. He exhales slowly, preparing himself as the power from the system begins to flow into his body. A notification appears, confirming that the point was successfully added and his current strength value is now 11. A blue aura surges around him as he clenches his fist, feeling a new power coursing through his veins. Outside, the streets are filled with the infected, a grim reminder that all attributes are vital for survival. Back in the office, he holds some supplies, deciding that for now, nothing is more important than raw strength. He managed to find 2 bottles of soda and a small packet of beef jerky while searching the office for food. He managed to find 2 bottles of soda and a small package of meat. Suddenly, a new task arises to log some points in the next 17 minutes. He realizes the time clock is outside the door, meaning he has to get past the enraged Chi Wei to complete the task. He nervously watches the infected woman, noticing that her hunger for him seems to have grown even more intense. The system shows him the incomplete, clock in, task and the optimizable, flirt with beauty, task, giving him 1 chance to improve his rating. With a determined look, he realizes he can complete both tasks at the same time if he plays his cards right. He eyes a stack of paper and a roll of tape, knowing that as long as he avoids getting scratched, he will be safe from infection. He grabs a pair of scissors from a desk caddy, preparing to craft some makeshift gear for his dangerous plan. Using the paper and tape, he creates protective armor for his arms and legs to guard against any potential scratches. Now equipped with his makeshift armor and a spear, he feels confident that the system will guide him to success. He takes a deep breath and grabs the handle, ready to open the door and face the chaos waiting in the hallway. The hallway is filled with zombies, all of them turning their attention toward him. As soon as he steps out, he immediately shouts a confession to Chi Wei, asking her to date him while other infected charge towards him. He continues his ridiculous confession, promising to work hard and take her out to dinner. He winks, thinking that throwing in some cheesy pickup lines might earn him some extra points from the system. While he rambles on, the infected Chi Wei simply stares at him, seemingly confused by his bizarre behavior. The system informs him that Chi Wei has a bad impression of him, and his favorability with her has dropped by 10 points. She lets out a disgusted sound, clearly unimpressed by his clumsy and awkward attempt at a confession. He makes a strained face, looking completely exhausted and flustered by the unexpected outcome of his plan. Meanwhile, 2 of his colleagues are hiding in a nearby office, listening to the commotion outside. One of them wonders what the intern is doing, shocked that he is confessing to someone who is already a zombie. The manager can only watch, thinking that Meng Xiu has finally gone mad. The manager hatches a plan, telling his colleague to make some noise while he calls the new intern over. The colleague agrees as Meng Xiu stands alone in the hallway, spear in hand, after dealing with the zombies. He successfully clocks in for work just in time, the machine confirming his attendance with a soft beep. He then peeks through a door, noticing more office workers turned into zombies, and feels a strange kinship with them. A system notification confirms the task is complete with a normal person, rating for clocking in just before the deadline. He receives 5 points and a reward about his boss taking extra notice, which he finds useless in an apocalypse. He wonders what the points are for and brings up the system menu to check his rewards and options. The system displays a shop with items he can currently afford, including cash, an energy drink, and some biscuits. He decides it's better to head back to the office to think, knowing Chai Wei won't attack him, but others might. Just as he reaches his office door, a voice from a nearby room urgently calls out to him for help. He sees his manager peeking out, asking him to do a favor by drawing the infected Chai Wei away from their door. The intern smirks, questioning his boss's pathetic state and wondering why he is hiding in the office next door. Believing that more people means more strength, he decides to see what kind of trouble his leader is in. The manager opens the door wider, greeting the young man with a suspicious and overly friendly smile. But as soon as he steps past the doorway, his boss slams the heavy door shut, locking him outside. The man thanks him for the distraction, promising a big promotion after the virus wave is over. Now trapped in the hallway, Meng Su finds himself face to face with the infected Chai Wei, who slowly turns to him. He smiles and calls his boss a clown, not at all surprised by the betrayal. The system then congratulates him for getting his boss's attention and reminds him not to go against his superiors. It suggests that everyone return to their respective offices and get back to work. The manager and his colleagues scream in terror, realizing the intern's suggestion to go back to work wasn't a joke. They frantically try to secure the door, thinking the young man must be completely insane to act this way. The boss orders his coworker to help block the door with desks. Desperate to keep the intern from getting in, he yells at his panicked colleague to hurry up, urging him to push harder against the door. But Meng Su easily kicks the door open, sending his boss flying and knocking over the makeshift barricade. He calmly walks in with a grin, cheerfully greeting his manager and the other employee as if nothing happened. The manager, now on the floor, nervously tries to explain himself, but the young man simply ignores him. The intern waves goodbye and casually leaps out of the nearby window, leaving his two colleagues behind. The manager and his coworker are left completely stunned and confused by his bizarre and unpredictable actions. Outside, the infected Chai Wei watches him jump out the window and quickly follows, leaping after him. She watches him intently as she falls, her eyes focused solely on him as they both plummet towards the street. The young man uses his spear to slow his descent by scraping it against the building's wall. Meanwhile, the infected woman continues to fall, reaching out for him as she gets closer to the ground. Back in his own office, he watches her fall past the window, calmly holding a monitor as a makeshift shield. She crashes through the glass right in front of him, screaming as she slams into the floor of the office. Unfazed, the intern stands there with the monitor, watching as blood splatters across the room from the impact. The system praises his politeness when dealing with his boss and gives him a perfect rating for the completed task. He also unlocks a hidden achievement for reforming the workplace, earning a new set of rewards for his efforts. The reward for the achievement is 5,000 in cash, and the system suggests he use the money to buy dinner. He grins, happy to have earned so much money so easily, and wonders what he will do with it in this new world. A notification appears on his screen, and he immediately taps the mail icon to see what new message he has received. He opens a job recommendation letter from the system, which promises to give him a brand new part-time job. He gets excited, wondering if he can finally choose a cool profession, and eagerly confirms he wants to use the item, but instead of a powerful class, he gets the new part-time job of a flyer distributor. Much to his disappointment, he stares in disbelief, questioning if his new job is really just to hand out flyers in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. The streets outside are filled with chaos and destruction, making the idea of distributing flyers seem completely absurd. He leans back in his chair, sarcastically praising the system for its amazing and totally practical job recommendation. The system then offers him 3 different flyer distribution tasks, each with its own set of unique rewards. He decides against the real estate job, thinking only an idiot would choose cash, and opts for the fitness club task instead. The system scolds him for choosing the easier task with fewer flyers, reminding him that hard work brings rewards. A notification explains that leveling up his new profession will grant him attribute points, skill points, and special skills. He gets up from his chair, remembering the system's words about a long journey starting with a single step. He feels a renewed sense of purpose, hoping this system will help him survive the apocalypse and rebuild civilization. The task is officially selected, and he now holds a stack of 500 flyers, ready to begin his new job. He rolls up his sleeves, ready to get to work and complete the strange, but potentially rewarding task. He steps out into the hallway and finds Chi Wei waiting for him, her expression as hostile and menacing as ever. As soon as he tries to speak to her, his favorability with her plummets, dropping by a massive 50 points. He tries to be more polite, calling her Ms. Chi, causing his popularity to fall even further. He shouts, while his popularity continues to plummet with each failed attempt to communicate with her. He stands alone in the now empty hallway, muttering to himself that it's a shame she's judging him so superficially. He tries to wave hello, but even that simple gesture causes his favorability with the infected woman to drop further. Suddenly, he hears cries for help and sees his former colleagues being attacked by the newly zombified Chi Wei. He walks toward them, pointing out that his manager tried to harm him first, so he has no reason to have a bad impression of him. With a sinister grin, he holds up the flyers, ready to complete his task by distributing them to his new customers. He cheerfully asks his former boss and the infected woman if they are interested in signing up for a gym membership. The zombified manager lunges at him, but the intern easily dodges, causing the zombie to crash into the other man. The system warns him that throwing flyers at customers is rude behavior and will affect his task rating if he continues. He laments that his former colleagues tried to harm him, and besides, he has a way for them to find new employment. He then points out that his other former colleague won't be able to work without legs, hinting at a grim fate for him. The intern stands over his fallen coworker, calmly telling him that for this new job, he is going to need his legs. He turns his head slightly, giving a silent command to the infected Chi Wei, who seems to understand his intentions. With a smirk, he announces that he will take them with him to sweep the building and find more potential customers. Meanwhile, a woman scrolls through her phone, looking at old news reports about the initial stages of the outbreak. She watches a video from 6 days ago, showing the first signs of the zombie apocalypse as it began to unfold. Hiding in a small room, she wonders how the world ended up like this, questioning what went wrong so quickly. She cries in despair, remembering the news reports that said the symptoms first appeared. A zombie slams against her door, and she covers her mouth in terror, realizing that the infected are getting closer. The zombie's mouth opens wide, letting out a terrifying roar as it continues to pound on the fragile door. Suddenly, she hears a voice from the other side of the door, asking if she is interested in swimming and fitness. She wonders if the gentleman locked in the room with her is also interested in joining the gym. The woman inside is completely baffled by the strange man trying to sell gym memberships outside her door. She crouches in fear, wondering what he means by quality customer. As he continues to shout about his flyers, she cautiously opens the door a crack, her hand trembling as she tries to peek outside to see what is happening. She sees the intern calmly talking to 2 zombies, holding a leash attached to them, as if they were his pets. The woman watches in disbelief, her eyes wide with a mix of terror and utter confusion at the bizarre scene. The young man continues his sales pitch, explaining that his club is specially designed for white-collar zombies. He tells the zombies that they need core competitiveness, and that learning to swim will make it easier to bite people. He then tries to motivate them by talking about their dreams, offering a free trial session if they sign up. The woman falls to the floor, her mind struggling to process the completely surreal scene unfolding before her. She cries, thinking she must be hallucinating from the stress of being trapped in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. She grabs her phone, deciding to record her last will and testament in case she doesn't survive this strange encounter. She types a message, convinced she has either gone crazy or that working people have finally been tortured into insanity. Having failed to recruit any new members, the intern decides his 2 zombie companions are now useless to him. He holds the leashes, telling his zombie companions it's time to go. He walks down the hallway with his 2 guide dogs, using them to scout ahead and affect the agility of other zombies. He compares his strategy to video game terminology, calling it positioning, as he uses his zombies to his advantage. He returns to his office with a plastic bag, having successfully gathered some supplies from around the building. He sits down to take a break, having handed out over 200 flyers, and still having half of them left to distribute. He opens his status screen, checking his progress and the statistics of his new occupation. His statistics show that he is ready to level up in both occupations. He decides to level up his flyer distributor profession, eagerly pressing the button on his system screen. The system confirms the successful level up, explaining that his new profession grants him bonuses to his attributes. He gains points in agility, constitution, and spirit, and also obtains a new professional skill called Read People. The system describes the new skill, explaining that it allows him to see a target's primary profession and level. He slumps in his chair, disappointed that the skill is just for reconnaissance, and not some powerful, God-tier ability. He relaxes in his office, kicking his feet up and enjoying a snack, feeling great after his recent level up. But his moment of peace is interrupted by the sounds of chaos and explosions from the street. Below his window, helicopters fly past the building, and one of them explodes in a massive fireball as the city burns around them. He looks down at the street, seeing a massive horde of zombies, and estimates there are thousands of them below. He figures there are more than enough zombies in the building to meet his flyer distribution quota without going outside. He activates his new Read People skill, focusing his gaze on one of his zombie companions to test it out. The skill reveals his former manager's occupation is now zombie, with a level of 0 and a favorability of -100. He clenches his fist, disappointed that despite bringing them along, their favorability toward him is still negative. He decides that talking to them is pointless, and that it's finally time to give them the flyers he has been carrying. A light bulb appears above his head as he gets a brilliant idea on how to finally complete his distribution task. With a menacing grin and glowing red eyes, he offers his zombie companions a special bone-breaking discount. The zombies recoil in fear as he shoves the flyers at them, his friendly demeanor completely gone. He notices that another zombie is hesitant to attack, its favorability at -50, but it still lunges at him. He easily blocks the zombie's attack with his spear, his increased strength, making the fight almost effortless. With a powerful swing, he sends the zombie crashing to the floor, defeating it in a single, decisive blow. He calmly places a flyer on the defeated zombie's head. Just then, more zombies appear at the door, drawn by the commotion of the fight. He uses his Read People skill on the new zombies, noticing that they don't have a favorability option displayed. He realizes that his 2 zombie companions have levels, which means there must be even stronger zombies outside. He turns to his zombie companions and asks them if they also think this new world is a bit abnormal. His hand slips as he tries to pat them on the back, causing them to stumble forward in confusion. He sarcastically justifies his actions, claiming he is the normal one for trying to get along with his coworkers. He unties the leashes from his spear, preparing to set his 2 zombie companions free for a new task. He decides it's time to continue distributing flyers, ready to face whatever dangers lie ahead in the building. A new system notification appears, assigning him a task to negotiate with Supervisor Lin on the 11th floor. He smirks at the new task, intrigued by the mention of a supervisor from another company in the same building. He heads out of his office and walks toward the elevators, ready to make his way to the 11th floor. He stands before the elevators, his spear in hand, contemplating his next move in this strange new world. He decides he is too afraid to go alone and asks his 2 zombie companions to come with him for support. He smiles, thinking to himself that colleagues should always be harmonious and friendly with each other like this. So, he heads toward his objective, bringing his 2 zombie sidekicks along for backup. The intern sprints down the hallway, dragging his new undead pets by their leashes. He thinks that being a corporate wage slave means having a spirit that knows no fear and never gives up. As soon as they reach the new floor, they run into a hallway crawling with creatures and a few survivors fighting for their lives. With a confident look, The guy says it's time to clear a path and push through the horde ahead. Right then, his two zombie buddies start attacking the other infected, clearing the way for the young man. The former manager ferociously bites another zombie, proving that he can actually be useful in this situation. Suddenly, a different kind of monster with multiple eyes and sharp claws shows up, ready to attack the group. Without hesitating, the MC uses his spear and hits the creature right in the noggin before it can even react. He then kicks another monster away, just as a female zombie jumps at him from above. The creature leaps into the air with her claws, ready to rip the guy apart without mercy, but the kid is faster, and with a precise hit, he smacks the zombie in mid-air with his weapon. His face shows total concentration as he continues to fight against the horde of walking corpses. After an intense battle, the hallway is littered with defeated zombies, and the path is finally clear. The intern finally reaches his destination and announces he is on the 11th floor, ready for the mission. The young man looks ahead with a serious gaze, focused on his objective, which is finding the supervisor. Suddenly, he attacks something on the other side of the door, piercing through it and surprising whoever is in there. Upon opening the door, he finds two scared people, while his face and clothes are covered in red stuff. He steps in a puddle on the floor and calmly asks if he is speaking to Supervisor Lin. Meng Shu strolls through the office. While the floor is covered in zombies he just took out all by himself. With a confident smile, the MC approaches and asks where the person he is supposed to talk to is. Then the system informs him that his fierce aura captivated the employees, and that Supervisor Lin was rude for hiding. With that, he completes the mission with an incredible rating, gaining experience, money, and points for his performance. The intern then suggests that since they are already there, they might well loot the 11th floor for resources. Next, Meng Shu points forward and, with a war cry, orders his zombie companions to get to work. The guy ties the leashes tight, preparing his two undead helpers for the next task. Thus, his former colleagues, now zombified, stay tied up and kneeling, waiting for the young man's orders. Checking his watch, he wonders how it is only 3 in the afternoon and if he isn't being a little too efficient at work. He then realizes that even at the end of the world, his corporate drone instinct made him think about going home. Searching for supplies, the guy finds a bottle of soda and cracks it open to quench his thirst. He relaxes in the chair and enjoys the drink, deciding to use this time to better understand the current situation. The young man thinks the zombie outbreak was sudden and that the virus appeared randomly, catching everyone by surprise. Upon this, he concludes that the top priority is improving his combat ability so he can survive this chaos. The intern then decides to use the attribute point he earned and asks the system to add it to strength. The system confirms that his strength is now 12, and Meng Shu thinks focusing on this first is the best strategy. Right after, he accesses the system's screen to check his status and plan his next moves. He sees his professions and attributes and wonders what the clerk profession boosts, since the other one boosts agility. Without hesitation, the guy decides to dump all his experience points into the clerk profession and confirms. With that, his profession levels up, increasing his attributes and granting him a new skill called loitering. The MC is shocked to see the name of his new skill and wonders what on earth it does. The system describes the new skill, which allows him to slack off at work without his supervisor noticing. He finds the skill interesting and thinks that with his 2 zombie colleagues, his resource gathering will increase a lot. Suddenly, a new daily mission pops up saying that an employee's duty is to work diligently to earn rewards. Meng Shu falls to his knees in despair, screaming that it is the end of the world, and he still has to work. Resigned, he decides he might as well work, because even if there is news from the outside world, it won't stop him. So, the young man sits down and starts typing on the computer with a bored expression, fulfilling his work shift. Finally, the system alerts him that it is time to leave and congratulates him for the hard work, giving him rewards. The guy stretches, relieved, saying it was a torturous and tiring day, but it is finally over. He then goes to the door and clocks out successfully, completing the end of shift mission. As a reward, a big wad of cash magically appears in front of him, leaving him surprised. The MC looks at the money and wonders what the heck money is for in a zombie apocalypse. Then the system explains that money can be used in the lottery, and the first round of 10 guarantees a special prize. With an excited smile, he thinks it is the perfect moment and decides to spend it all on the lottery immediately. The young man wastes no time and selects the option for 10 draws at once to see what amazing prize he is going to get. The screen shows that the draw is in progress, building the anticipation for the items he is going to receive. He wins instant noodles, mineral water, a luxury suit, a wrench, and a bodyguard-type talent. The intern gets confused and wonders what exactly a bodyguard-type talent is. The system explains that upon using the item, a veteran bodyguard will appear nearby to be hired by him. He realizes it is just a potential talent and not someone who will show up with maximum loyalty right off the bat. Even so, Meng Su decides to use the item and hopes the system gives him a specialist to help him on this journey. While eating his instant noodles, the young man thinks he might even unlock a new mission with this. With his eyes shining, he decides that if he is going to do something, he is going to do it in style. He imagines himself working overtime to level up and becoming his own all-powerful boss. The lad dreams that the peak of his life awaits him and that he will finally achieve success. But snapping back to reality, he burps with satisfaction and relaxes in the chair after finishing his meal. Suddenly, a system notification pops up warning that an intruder has broken into the office building. With that, a new mission is activated to protect company property, and he is shocked by the news. Then, with a sinister smile, he says the company is his home, and he won't allow anyone to steal his stuff. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a man hits a crony and says he finally shook off those things. He complains that a girl screamed and attracted the zombies, while the blonde guy asks what they should do now. The bald guy gets annoyed because all the food was in the backpack they lost and orders the other guy to look for supplies. At that moment, the leader tells his partner to go first, but the blonde guy seems pretty hesitant to obey. The lad nods in agreement but grumbles that it is easy for the other guy to give orders while he is the one taking the risk. He then pulls out a knife and prepares for whatever he finds ahead, even though he is scared. Going up the stairs cautiously, the blonde man suddenly stops halfway, as if he heard something. Spooked, he tells his boss he thinks he heard footsteps and wonders if it could be zombies approaching. The leader ignores his fear, saying it must be other survivors and that they can have a little fun. Still fearful, the blonde guy peeks around a corner to see who is making the mysterious noise in the hallway. His eye goes wide upon seeing what or who is on the other side of the wall. Meng Su appears and greets the startled intruder, who is paralyzed with fear in front of him. The blonde intruder falls backward, completely terrified by the sudden appearance of the MC in front of him. Then, the bald leader approaches and asks the young man how many people and how much food they have nearby. With a friendly smile, Meng Su says that this is private property and questions if security didn't stop them. He then complains that he needs to change the company locks, leaving the two invaders totally confused. The guy maintains a serious and poker-faced expression while continuing to stare down the two men in front of him. Then he threatens the intruders, saying trespassing is illegal and that he will call a lawyer if they don't leave. The two men stay completely terrified and clueless about the intern's weird behavior, but the bald guy loses patience and says the young idiot has no idea what the world is like outside. He then orders the MC to quit stalling and show the way because he is very hungry and wants food. Meng Shu's face turns cold, and he says that since they refused kindness, it is time to teach them a lesson. Suddenly, the MC yells for his security guards, Zhang and Qi Wei, saying they are his only hope. The blonde guy tells his boss to finish the kid off quickly because there are more people to loot upstairs. He says not to blame him, as life and death are a matter of luck, and advances to attack the intern. The blonde man then throws his knife with all his might in the direction of the MC to end him, but Meng Su dodges the knife with impressive agility moving faster than the invader expected. In a quick move, he knocks out the blonde guy, leaving the bald leader completely shocked by the scene. The young man then asks if heaven exists and, with a sinister smile, says that right now, he is heaven. Seeing his partner on the floor, the bald man grips his bloody bat tighter and gets ready. He acknowledges that the MC has some skills, but isn't intimidated and prepares to fight. With that, the leader gets ready for the confrontation that is about to happen. He says not to worry, because he dipped the screwdriver in iodine, so there is no risk of infection. With his 2 zombies by his side, the intern warns the invader that he chose the path of destruction. The MC is all happy about finally getting the chance to say such a cool catchphrase. He then stares at the invader with a serious look, while his 2 undead companions surround him. The bald man panics and screams in despair upon realizing the creatures next to the young man are zombies. Meanwhile, the blonde guy, who is already on the floor, gets even more terrified by the completely bizarre situation. Sweat pours down the invader's face as he stares at the scene with pure fear and disbelief. Without thinking twice, the bald leader takes off running up the stairs, abandoning his partner behind. But the MC says they can't leave and must face the judgment of the law for their crimes. With a confident smile, he points forward and orders his zombie companions to attack the invaders. However, nothing happens, and the zombies stand still, leaving the young man in a pretty awkward situation. He then remembers that the zombies feel disgusted by him, and that's why they won't come close, blocking the path. Seeing a chance to flee, the blonde guy tries to run, but his boss grabs him by the arm, stopping the escape. The lad is confused and asks what his boss, students they need to escape from there. The bold guy then questions the MC, demanding to know why the zombies don't attack him and who he really is. The intern simply starts walking up the stairs, calmly toward the 2 scared invaders. He and his zombie companions position themselves at the base of the stairs, staring at the 2 men up there. Mengshu says he will stop pretending and reveals he is the company's public safety activist. The blonde guy asks his boss what to do, and the bald guy tells him to see if the 2 zombies attack people. Outraged, the lad refuses to go and asks if his boss thinks he is an idiot for suggesting something so dangerous. The bald leader pushes his partner toward the window, saying jumping from the 3rd floor isn't certain death, but the blonde guy sees the horde of zombies down below and thinks the noise of the fall will attract even more of them. With nowhere to run, the bald guy decides he will fight to the end against the MC and his zombies. As the man advances with the bat, the young man says everyone saw that this is just self-defense. With that, the zombie manager lunges ferociously at the invader, who braces for the creature's attack. The bald guy doesn't hesitate and hits the undead square on with his baseball bat in a heavy blow. However, the zombie manager seems to feel nothing from the hit and stares at the invader with his red, hungry eyes. The man is shocked to see his attack had no effect and grinds his teeth in anger at the situation. When the creature grabs the bat, a wrench flies through the air and hits the weapon with full force. From the impact, the invader is thrown backward and loses his weapons, thinking his end has arrived. Then the zombie manager starts attacking the fallen man, while the young man says he warned them not to invade. He complains that he is also a sanitation activist and will have to clean up the invader's blood later. With a threatening look, he warns the blonde guy that if he dares to run, he will order the zombie manager to bite him. The blonde lad stays completely paralyzed with fear, sweating cold bullets in the face of the MC's threat. He shrinks on the floor, thinking the activist is abusing his zombie power to beat people up. The intern looks at his bloody wrench and thinks maybe he went a little overboard with the self-defense. Standing over the invader's body, he offers to call an ambulance to help him with his injuries. Then he orders the blonde guy to call the police and says he will meet his lawyer for the lawsuit. Mengshu loses patience and asks if he is deaf for not having called the police yet. Desperate, the blonde guy grabs his phone and calls the police, thinking he has encountered a lunatic. The blonde guy calls the police while crying and begging for forgiveness, blaming his partner for everything that happened. But the MC replies coldly that if apologies were useful, there would be no need for law and order. Then, he tells the lad to get lost, because he doesn't want the trouble of dealing with him personally. With a sadistic smile, the young man says it is the 3rd floor, and the fall definitely won't unalive him. Desperate, the blonde invader doesn't think twice and jumps out the window, shattering the glass to escape. Next, we see the man falling from the building toward the street full of zombies waiting down below. The MC then approaches the bald guy on the floor and says he is severely injured from the attacks. He speaks with sarcasm that a beauty like Chi Wei will take care of him, and that the invader is a lucky guy. The young man says goodbye, saying he needs to get back to work, and leaves his 2 zombies behind with the man. Soon after, he goes back to his office to continue with his daily tasks and plan for the future. He picks up some pamphlets and decides he is going to talk to lawyer Zhang to end the shift for today. Suddenly, the system shows that the favorability of Chi Wei and Zhang Tao increased because he fed them. The intern gets furious and screams, asking who fed them and why they developed feelings for him. He decides he needs to have a serious talk with his zombies to calm them down because he doesn't want them liking him. At that moment, his eyes widen as he sees another system notification appearing in front of him. A new long-term mission appears for him to start a business, and he gets annoyed at the terrible timing. He thinks sarcastically about opening a fried noodle and pancake stand, thinking it's a good option, but he quickly discards the idea, remembering that zombies don't eat that kind of stuff, so it would be useless. Then another mission appears for him to teach a lesson to the supervisor on the 12th floor. The MC puts his hand on his face, tired of so many missions and problems popping up. With a confident smile, the MC outlines his plan, which is to first deal with his zombies, and then the neighboring company. He then jumps into action because layoffs are a way to downsize the team, and he intends to do a big cleanup. With that, the young man snaps his fingers and orders his 2 zombie companions to go ahead and start the job. Without hesitation, the lad jumps into the middle of a horde of walking dead with his wrench in hand, ready to fight. His 2 zombie helpers also attack the other creatures ferociously, showing their usefulness in battle. With several quick and precise hits, the intern defeats the infected one by one without any difficulty. After a short battle, the young man stands in the middle of the smoke with several fallen zombies around him. His wrench is covered in blood, showing the result of the cleaning he just did on the floor. The hallway floor is littered with defeated creatures, while his 2 zombie companions watch the scene. The MC seems a bit pensive after dealing with so many employees all at once. He then says that is enough for today, and that he will take care of the rest after leveling up in the next few days. The young man calls his companions to leave since his mission on that floor was completed successfully. Meanwhile, in a nearby bathroom, we see a closed door with some empty cans on the floor outside. Inside, a woman is lying on the floor completely weak and starving after days trapped alone. She sits up and wonders why that gym salesman stopped coming to visit her all of a sudden. With tears in her eyes, the lady begs for the guy to come back because he was her only hope of salvation. Suddenly, she hears a voice outside and realizes the young salesman has finally returned to see her. He then starts a new sales pitch, now talking about a big real estate company in the city. The lad asks the zombies if they aren't tired of the routine, and if they don't need a nice house to live in. The woman puts her hand on the door, trembling with fear at the bizarre scene happening out there. The woman cries with relief upon realizing the salesman heard her call and came back for her like a saving angel. A tear runs down her face as she peeks through the crack in the door with a mix of fear and hope. But upon looking, she sees her idol surrounded by zombies and panics, fearing for the guy's life. Desperate, she reaches her hand out through the door because he is her only and last hope of getting out of there alive. A creature advances to attack the young man, who turns to face the threat head on without showing fear. With his improvised spear, he cuts through the zombies with agility and precision, showing off his combat skills. With a sinister smile, He orders the zombies to line up to see the new houses he is offering. The lad continues his deadly dance in the hallway, dodging and attacking the horde of infected nonstop. The woman is left speechless and covered in splatters, watching the massacre outside the bathroom, looking at the young man standing over the bodies. She thinks he is terrifying and too powerful to be real. He runs a hand through his sweaty hair, and the lady wonders if he is really human or something else. His focused and determined look leaves no doubt that he has total control of the situation in the building. Spooked by what she saw, the woman shrinks into the corner of the bathroom, covering her mouth in complete shock. Then she hears footsteps approaching and realizes the guy is coming toward her door. He stops in front of the bathroom, and his shadow is projected over the woman hiding and terrified inside. With that, he knocks on the door and asks if she is interested in swimming, legal disputes, or real estate.